Hello, everyone. Questions have come up as to how to install a plugin in Daz and how to get Mocap Live connected to Rokoko Studio in order to get Mocap from Rokoko Studio into Daz Studio. So let's start with what a plugin is. A plugin is a piece of software. It's not normal content. So the first thing you do is you close Daz Studio after you've purchased and you want to install whatever plugin you're looking for. Go to Daz Install Manager. Select the item, click download, and it won't take long at all for a plugin to get installed. And at this point, the plugin's in. If Daz Studio is open, it likely will fail to install until you close it. So now the plugin is ready. Let's go into Daz Studio. That'll apply to any plugin. So if you do have an actual plugin, not a script, close Daz Studio, go to Daz Install Manager, and get it. That's the same way you'd get your updates. Now that it's in there, if you want to find it, it's under Window. And then drag that window wherever you want to put it. With Mocap Live, it connects to Rokoko Studio through the network. It's through your local network. It does not have to be on the same computer. It can be on the same computer. You could have a laptop that you take in the field and you make your recordings on Rokoko Studio. You could be doing it in your own internal studio. The IP addresses offered are the local IP addresses of that machine. You can choose one of those IPs to use, flip them around if they're not communicating, and then make sure you've got that listed as your forward IP. That's where it's going to send the information. And you can have it sent to more than one computer if you're running Daz Studio and imports on more than one. Make sure the port matches so that it's sending the right place, and the data format is the JSON LZ4. Click Activate. When you do click Activate, though, it's sending, but it doesn't make a real connection when it sends. Rokoko Studio just kind of sends it out UDP. So right now it is transmitting, but it's not listening. Now it's listening, and Mocap Live has verified it's not only connected, but it's receiving body and face data. Except we haven't got a saved scene open, and we don't have a character chosen, so it's got nowhere to save it to. So we'll open one. This is the scene from earlier. We've got several characters all the way from early Genesis to Genesis 9. And I have to say, the dinosaur is becoming my favorite. When you do select a character, the joints will be mapped. They are auto-mapped if it wasn't pre-mapped. And you may wish to change them. If you do, you'll have to re-zero, and the instructions are in the documentation on how to do that. You may also have characters that have strange joints, like a legacy figure, a custom figure, a robot. You can change those joints if you don't agree with the mappings. So let's start. It is connected, it is listening, it is receiving this information. So now we're going to tell a character to actually do something with this. Okay, so we got Victoria, and we're going to import body, and we're going to import face. I'm going to change it to in place, so it won't go on the timeline, and just the figure. We're not going to record it. It's going to be full Mocap Live. It's pulling it in kind of live, but it's also kind of pre-recorded because this is pre-recorded from Rokoko. So it'll import anything that the Rokoko Studio gets, whether it's a pre-recorded or it's a live. It's from the Rokoko Smart Suit. Anything in Rokoko Studio will transmit as long as you can see that character in Rokoko moving. And it is right now completely controlling that character in live mode. And normally, you wouldn't record that way unless you have a reason to watch the character on the screen. because it can slow down frame rate depending on the speed of your computer. So what we're going to do for this next one is we're going to go to File. Leaving it in place, so we're not going to advance the timeline. There's no reason to. And start the mocap. Now, it doesn't matter which character you choose, and when it records the information coming from Rokoko Studio into Mocap Live, it doesn't change it based on the character. That means if you make a recording and it turns out you had a mapping problem, you picked the wrong character, whatever you did, it doesn't matter. You've recorded it. What you did is you captured the information in the stream from Rokoko Studio. So now we'll go to replay. And since we saved it, now we have a file. The only way you'll get files in here is if someone sends you a file from Mocap Live, or if you create your own. So we're going to turn on body. We are going to turn on the foot fix. Therefore, the character will move on the floor. Not turning off limits right now. You can turn off limits to get some slightly more accurate movements, but sometimes it also bends them way, way out of whack. And depending on your character, that may be undesirable. And for Rex, it probably is very undesirable because he has tiny arms and a big head. So Rex, who is actually a Genesis 8.1 male, is now happy and waving, which, once again, tiny arms, big head, a little hard to see. Like any mocap, it's capturing the way you're moving. It's capturing the way that your original mocap was done. And that means if you have a character that's not a normal human, bigger head, bigger hands, in the case of this dinosaur, huge head, you will get poked through. So it does take some post work in order to correct items. Just expect that with anybody that's not a normal human character that matches your body plan. Now between these, nothing needs to be changed. You can take that same file and import it to each one. The post work will vary. You will see a node appear, and that's due to the foot fix, and that's assisting in finding the right place for a character to step. And it appears and it disappears. So nothing out of the ordinary. And then, as usual, some frames skip, because that's a lot of keyframes. Something about this demonstration, it was done at 30 frames a second. I'd really recommend you normally do 10 frames, but 30 does get you more accurate according to your mocap. It can also be a little more glitchy. So with these files, you have the option to save the file that was created. You can delete it, you can import a new one, and you can create from timeline, which is whatever's on the screen. It will copy it, and then you can save it to another figure, which allows you to copy poses and animation. Okay, so with Rokoko Studio, anything you get in here will send. So if you've got additional files, going to get them through, put them in Rokoko Studio, you'll have to check with Rokoko's support for how to do that in their help documents. They're changing all the time and adding great new features constantly. For the moment, we're turning it off because we're going to do something fun with Rex. All right, now we're going to connect it to the iPhone app, which, by the way, only has one button, connect. And it's on right now. So here's Rex, who has very limited facial expression, connected to the iPhone app. A striking dinosaur, if there ever was one. you can open the user guide. It is also available in the help section on Daz, along with all of your other content and plugins. But hopefully anything here, hopefully this is going to answer any of your questions. So enjoy making some animations.